On mic, check, 1, 2, test. Dingle McGee, 3-month anniversary. It's almost like it was meant to be. All because Dingle McGee couldn't help but keep thinking of me. Thanks, Dingle. Appreciate you, buddy. Dingle McGee, 3-month anniversary. Did you know Dingle McGee streams? You should check him out. It's a decent dude. My light is, wow, super bright. I'm all about the rhymes today. Holy smokers. Bam. Mo better. I can shut my little remote off. I got a little remote for my lights. It's amazing. Welcome to the chat room. You came to find Shalom. Shalom is another word for peace. You must find the peace. Peace that passes all understanding. I'm going to do 3 things at once, so bear with me. I'm going to wait a few more minutes for our folks to show up. My phone's ringing. Somebody from Texas is calling me. I must be really important if someone from Texas is calling me. Nobody from Texas really wants to talk to me. It's a telemarketer. All right, let's turn that on. Let's put our headphones on so we look like we know what we're doing. Bam. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I can hear me. Let's turn me up a little bit. Let's turn that down a little bit so I don't get any feedback. Turn you. Are you number 2? You're number 2. No, you're number 2. Are you plugged in number 2? Who's number? I need to check who's number 2. Morg meme. Hi, Morg meme. So happy for you. I fat fingered that typing. Holy crud. About and finding? Oh, that's horrible. Blech. Okay, well, Dingle, how you doing, buddy? You working? Or are you just chilling at home? Did you get your computer figured out, bud, or what? I know you were struggling a little bit with your old PC, so. We all struggle with that. It ain't easy being green. Or finding peace in relationships for that matter. Shh. Secret is safe. Secret safe there, Morgan. Continue. Well, today we are going to talk about peace. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. It's going to bring joy and happiness and prosperity to your life. I don't know if that was convincing or not, but that's what we're going to start with. All the notes today. All the notes. Actually, I'm not going to lie. I'm stealing a lot of this material from a book I'm reading. It's a very, I broke this book. Like, it's just demented. But so the idea has been as part of my brain for a long time. I've had a concept in my mind of the importance of relationship and how it plays on our minds, how it impacts the value of relationships. Not just relationship in the fact that, hey, I know you, you know me, and every once in a while I do this thing with you. I mean relationship, depth, give and take. I don't know how else to say, real relationships. Not just, this haphazard thing that we very often do where one person does everything for somebody else and we call that a relationship, this actual, the actual relationship where things are done out of mutual respect for each other. There. I don't know how else you can say that besides just the way I said it. Because, how would you define relationship? What does relationship look like for you? Is it a one-sided ordeal? Can it be a one-sided ordeal? Maybe so, maybe not. Maybe sometimes a little bit, sometimes a lot. I don't know. You tell me. I think there's a bit of a daily response, at least. And I say daily response in the sense that it could be that, a little bit of giving of oneself, a humbling. I'm going to talk about that aspect a little bit today. What I think it should look like, and how I think it plays into our daily days, daily stuff and things, as the Slippery Gator says in his YouTube videos. Because I think what we're talking about today is shalom, peace. I just like that word shalom. It feels good to say. So I think that what we're talking about is this idea of peace, but a peace that surpasses all understanding. This idea of it's just, I don't know why, but it just makes me feel good to be here. And when I say feels good, I'm not talking about a happy emotion. I'm talking about peace. I feel at peace because you are in my life. So I want to talk about that today. I want to have a deep conversation about those things. So relationship. I think the first thing we need to understand is that relationship to me, and again, my opinion, my processing, my what do you think type statements, has a lot to do with the fact that I think relationship is an action statement. I almost like to say that I love you means I'm going to do something for you. Or it means that I love you means I want to be in relationship with you. Again, it's an action statement. It means I love you or I want to be in a relationship with you means I want to do things like I want to feed you. I want to give you food. It means that you showed up. You came into my life. You came to my home today. You stepped into my world. It could mean that you gave something. A lot of people think that a way to show affection or love is to give gifts. I think that's that is definitely part of our world and our relationship structure that we've kind of built
And I mean, you look back throughout history, I think, the whole notion of use this phrase, a peace offering. What's up, Nappy? Says the OG Pickle. I'm glad you're here, Nappy. 10 months, guy. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you as being a founder of the channel and kind of the impact that you've had in inspiring me. The direction that you've chosen in your life and whatnot is, the fact that you're willing to do just what we're talking about today, to help to bring relationship, to restoration, shalom, peace to people's lives. I think it's a commendable thing, and I look forward to all the stuffs that you're doing, buddy. I mean, all the stuffs, not just some of the stuffs, but all the stuffs. It's pretty remarkable when you think about the possibilities. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, Nappy. But yeah, to me, relationship is it's a doing something thing. And that might just be appreciate you, Nappy. Tom, you're the best, buddy. That might just be helping somebody find peace in their lives. But I mean, so you have to ask yourself the question, how does relationship bring about peace? Is it just because I fed you? Is it just because I gave you $50? Or, what is it about our relationships that brings peace to people? Is it just the act of doing that brings about peace? So here at Rise Above and the work that we do with our students, just because I give a student a notebook and a pencil, does that inherently bring them peace? Just because I give them a granola bar at lunchtime or, no problem, buddy. Appreciate you, Dingle. Just because I give them something, does that bring the fact that I'm here? I'm in the building. I'm making myself available. Does that bring about shalom or peace to the students? Or is there something inherently special about my presence? Not just me, I mean my staff, anybody that volunteers. The fact that you all are here and are a part of this stream. The students watch I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the students watch these streams. The teachers, when they see us go live, will often bring it up in classroom and excuse the students for a period of time to watch the stream. So know that your interaction with me is being watched. They want to know what you're thinking. Be aware. I just moved my mic and I shouldn't have. Andy. Oh, Andy's here. TX is here. TX. I just literally had, Mr. Page, about 7 cups of coffee. I just came from every Monday morning, I go for a meeting. Nappy, we're going to talk about that, buddy. Every Monday morning, I go for past, I guess 5 years or so, for a Monday morning meeting with a guy, and we just sit and we talk and we talk about Rise Above. We talk about our well-being. We're kind of like our mentors to each other. And we drink a lot of coffee. TX, thanks for the follow, buddy. Appreciate that. We've actually had quite a few follows offline the past little bit. Tones 1986, KK Dog, Rabachi. A bunch of folks have followed lately. Hey, Andy. How are you, buddy? How's everything in England? You loving life, buddy, or what? Come for a little peace? It's been quite an encouraging day already, between my morning meeting and now getting here and seeing all you folks coming and joining us, wanting to hear a little bit about the shalom. But Nappy, don't let me forget about that. This idea of not needing to say anything at all. There's a name for that. Rabachi is the man. I agree. It's called sitting Shiva, Nappy, and we'll get to that real quick. Dingle, what is that? Oh, Dingle Love. That's what that is. I have those emotes, Dingle. Dingle. Where is it? Oh my gosh. Your emotes got spam the dingle emotes. All the dingle emotes. I love them, buddy. Those are phenomenal emotes. I just realized what you were doing. Awesome. So today we're talking about peace. So this idea of the relationship, and I'm asking the question, what is relationship? I'm using a lot of Yiddish, yeah. It comes again from my studies and things of that nature that, because again, you know that I learned to speak read and write Hebrew, right, Nappy? Because of my background, my biblical studies degree. So I got into that stuff a lot, and it's all about relationship. Everything about that stuff is all relational. So I'm glad, Andy, that you're living the dream, buddy. But what I'm getting at with the whole relational concept, the whole idea, the words that I'm using with regards to you fed, you gave, you stopped, you came, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff, that do type of thing. It has a lot to do with you being involved. Now, involvement it can be, hey, I'm involved with the New England Patriots. That just means I bought a jersey. So I'm involved because I contributed financially because I bought their product. But involved could also mean, I'm the physical therapist who goes in and ensures that all of the athletes are physically and emotionally well. Right? There's different levels of involvement when we talk about, an organization, a person, or people. TX, you talk about this relationship being romantic or anything with a connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic because I am in deep relationship with a lot of the students here at Rise Above. So it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. Now, that doesn't mean it's not. Right? So isn't the phrase you used, sit and keep a recently deceased? Yes, it is, Nappy. That's what sitting Shiva is. That's where it is predominantly used, but it's used in a lot of, because it's really what it's talking about with the recently deceased person is a time of mourning. So mourning can include any type of loss. Could be the loss of relationship is really what we're talking about. We're not talking about the loss of a coin or a loss of a car, but loss of relationship is what it comes from. But notice in the idea of relationship, notice I didn't talk about the giving of money. It doesn't necessarily come from this idea that you don't prove that you love me. You don't prove you're in relationship, quote unquote, relationship with me. And I'm going to use quote unquote relationship a lot today. So just bear with me because it's important that we understand that. Just because you gave me $10,000, say, right? What proves that you are in relationship with me is when you stop, when you interrupt, and this is key now, because now we're getting into the real of things, is when you sacrifice, is when you give of yourself. I'm glad that went away quickly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm going to skip that real quick. Somebody that followed that shouldn't have followed, just followed. You can't replace meeting with somebody, spending quality time with an individual with giving. When we're talking about relationship in general, in especially when we're talking about what relationship brings to an individual, we can't We can't think that we can short circuit the process. It needs to be intentional. Okay, so let's get into the kind of the meat and potatoes of this, because I think there's a real conversation that I want to have today about peace and how you bring about peace. And I'm not hey, what's up, K-Dog? Appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping in. I was just talking about you and how you followed when I was offline. I appreciate that, man. So one of the things that I want to talk about is in relationship to relationships is this idea of how we go about our generosity, particularly when it comes to poverty. Because if you can frame your relationships in the realm of poverty, and I mean people that are in poverty, like literally when we say poverty, what do we mean by that? People who have less money than us, who have, a certain standard of living, whatever the case is, that's different than what the average is. So poverty, right? Literally. Okay, thanks for the subscription. Really appreciate that. So poverty is what it is. We'll call it that. So when you think of poverty, and particularly when you give, when you feed, so think of, again, I run a nonprofit. When you feed, when you give away education, when you give away resources like clothing or housing or something to that effect, most often, and I say most often, people enter into that relationship with the idea of rescue, i.e., that the person I'm giving to is a victim. Oh my gosh, I am in a position of privilege, so I am going to do this thing that's going to rescue that person. Thanks for the follow too, Kate. Which means that when I see that person, I don't necessarily see them as somebody that can contribute to me, because they're in a position of poverty, so I need to give to them. They're not necessarily giving to me. And if you're giving to me, you shouldn't be, because you don't have, so therefore you can't give. You understand what I'm following? You follow what I'm saying to you? Poverty means, from a world standpoint, even from the church, typically the church looks at poverty as this thing, I'm going to come and I'm going to give you all of these things. I have a food pantry, so I'm going to give you this stuff. I have a clothes closet, so I'm going to give you this stuff. And I'm guilty. At Rise Above, we do this. We give students clothes. We give students food. We give students schooling. But, and there's a big one here, single T though, it can't be a one-sided gift. Otherwise, you're stealing from the person you're giving to. Listen to me now. We've all heard the phrase, it's better to give than to receive. I'm going to assume most people have heard this phrase. Yeah? True? False? The reality is, it's a true, false statement. If all I ever do is give, I am not in true relationship. And if all I ever do is give, I'm stealing the opportunity from that person to reciprocate, to give back to me, and therefore enter into a relationship. We've already established what relationship is. TX, you talked about it. Relationship is this reciprocal thing where, I love you, you love me, we're going to do this thing called life together, and it's this give and take. So if all I ever do is walk into your life and say, here's some food, you're fed, I'll see you next week when we do this again. If there's no interaction, and Nappy, this gets back to your thing earlier, where you're talking about this idea of sitting quietly and listening. Listen to me now. Listen to me talk about listening. If you only ever enter into someone's life to give them without ever getting from them, you've never done anything for them. You've actually done more damage. So let me ask you a different question now before we go much deeper, because we need to have this conversation now to have the other one. So what is shalom? What is peace? So shalom, so you know, is a Yiddish word. It's a Hebrew word, but it means peace. This whole concept of shalom or peace that I'm talking about now really dawned on me. It doesn't necessarily just come from there, but it dawned on me during my studies when I learned Hebrew. But so what is peace? Or even the absence of peace, if that's easier for you to explain. And think of it in the context of relationship, because that's, right? Think about the world that we live in. Think about the world that in your home. When you say, oh, there's no peace in my house. What does that mean to you? It's a complex statement that is very, very pointed. And I'll help you explain what I mean. Peace. What is it? For me, I'll tell you what I think peace, or the absence of peace, we'll start there. I think that's easier to explain. The absence of shalom, the absence of peace, is the presence of strife, war, conflict, hostilities, ineffective communication, fighting, death, theft, idolatry, all that stuff. Is really the depth, the essence of unrest. You don't see it the way I see it. You don't have, I want what you have. You think you can control me. Therefore, you have unrest. You have the antithesis, the opposite of shalom, peace. And so again, put this in the context of poverty. Why are most people, I say most, in poverty? And this struck me a long time ago, but has really played out here at Rise Above. So again, at Rise Above, we work with expelled high school students from all over our community, high school and middle school students. And as we started working with these kids, we said we were going to focus on two things. I'm going to focus on relationship and just loving on these kids, right? And just let's see what happens. Very quickly, we realized that the vast majority of our kids that came here could care less about math and science. And we thought, what the heck? How can these kids not see the value of education? The reality was there was so much drama, so much war going on in their personal lives, so much broken relationship, they didn't have the capacity to think about math. It's not that they didn't see the value in it, they had no capacity to see the value of it. To use TX's thing, are you picking up what I'm putting down? So what's the value of relationship? In the context of Rise Above and the work that we're doing here, relationship creates margin. It creates capacity. It brings just a moment of shalom, a moment of peace every day where these kids can slow down. All the drama that's happening constantly in their lives stops, hopefully. while they're here. And they can breathe. They have a moment of peace. Why? Because they've entered into a space that is full of relationship. Relationship where, thank you, Dingo.
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Welcome to the gym, TX. That moment of peace where they can enter into full relationship, where they know somebody is listening. There's that sitting Shiva, that Shalom. I'm going to sit in the moment of your crisis, in the moment of your mourning, your loss. I'm going to sit and listen to you. And I'm going to be a part of your life. I'm going to intentionally invest in who you are. And I'm intentionally going to work towards you finding absolute peace. I want to be your outlet. So this is the crux of today. And this is what I want to talk about. So understanding that just because our street addresses are different, just because our paychecks are different sizes, does not mean we do not desire the same things. And this is what everyone needs to understand. Just because my paycheck is smaller than yours, or your paycheck's bigger than mine, or however you want to say it, just because you're in a position to give me something, doesn't mean I don't desire the same thing. So understand that everybody fundamentally desires the same core things: relationship, intimacy, peace, right? Peace with others, the world, spiritual, God. You've really got to understand that when you enter into a spot where you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to give to rise above. It's not about just the giving. It's understanding how your gift enters into a relationship. I use the term contract. I've used the term contract before with people. There's a guy, two guys actually. I'm going to read a quote here in a second from Corbett and Fickert. And it talks about poverty, and it talks about poverty from the standpoint of relationships. So I want you to understand the context. And there's a reason why I'm using poverty, because I just think it's a great fit when we talk about, because you can have a poverty of money and you can have a poverty of relationship. And I think that the wording is interchangeable. I don't think it's distinguishable. So bear with me. Poverty is fundamentally the absence of peace, or shalom. And peace is all about relationships. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate the follow. So peace is all about relationships. Therefore, poverty is fundamentally about the broken relationships with self. This is another relationship. You have to love yourself too, right? Self-care. It's about broken relationships with yourself, others, and the world. And you can add God to that if you're spiritual. And not fundamentally about the lack of thing. I can be without a red Ferrari and still be okay. I can live in a 400 square foot apartment and not a 5,000 square foot mansion and still be okay. Therefore, addressing poverty, this is his quote, not mine, then must be a part of our understanding in the work of building relationships. You understand what I'm saying to you? I have to send a quick text here. This type of thinking, what's up, Diablo? Appreciate you coming in, buddy. This type of thinking as it pertains to poverty in relationships, and again, poverty of relationships, not poverty in the sense of money or things, poverty of relationships, opens doors. It changes everything. And this is why Rise Above is so successful with the students that we work with. It increases opportunities and possibilities. This is why I'm reading my notes a little bit, so I apologize. And not just a little bit, exponentially, like huge amounts. I have 13 things going on at once. I have to. Sorry. A bunch of people are showing up to my door. And opening doors like this allows you, the giver, to receive as much as you give. Which leads us to the conversation about compassion. Because we need to have this conversation too before we continue. Hi, Jay. Javion. How are you, buddy? Hi. Good. You watching downstairs, bud? Jay, you watching downstairs? So compassion isn't an emotion we should feel. This is what I want you to understand. It's a lifestyle. Dingle, what are you doing, man?
Everything is awesome.
And you know, TX, it is a little bit like that. But even that quote about give a man a fish, teach him to fish, blah, 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 it doesn't necessarily speak to a depth of relationship that I'm hoping to get at today. Because what I'm getting at today, relationship-wise, is what I'm talking about when I say things like we're doing life together, right? I want to really get involved in who you are. And so what this gets to, and this is why for at Rise Above, we don't have 3,000 students here. We have 14, 12, 10. Because I can't have the depth of relationship that doing life together thing unless I can be intentional and have a depth of relationship. You know what I'm saying to you? It almost has to be that this relationship, this thing, right? I have to be willing to let it interrupt my normal. That's where the real reciprocal relationships, things start to happen. It's a sacrificial. You've heard the phrase sacrificial love, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's not just, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do this thing so that when I'm not around, you can survive. Because that's, I mean, we could really get into some deep dives with regards to the flaws of that thinking. Because it deviates from the message of this today and whatnot. So, pardon me. The vast majority of times when you have the most success at achieving a depth of relationship and helping somebody achieve this piece that we're talking about today, very often it's when you have interrupted your everyday to stop. When you're rushing from place to place and suddenly you come across an old friend and they're just like, you can tell something's not right, and you just stop. And you say, you know what? One of my teachers just did it the other day. We had a student who was having a bad day, and she had an appointment at 1 and was supposed to leave at 1 o'clock, and instead decided to stay and take care of that student here. Canceled the appointment. It interrupted her day, and she stayed and cared for that student. Why? Because she wanted to enter into a depth of relationship she had not had with that student previous. One of the hardest things for people to grasp is this idea of honoring each other. So this will be a bit of a deep dive, so stick with me for a second. So what does it mean to honor somebody? You're going to see me play with my beard a lot today because I'm letting it grow out, and it's at that kind of awkward stage where it's tickling everything. When we're told to honor one another, we're basically saying, I'm willing to treat you as though you are valuable. I'm willing to hold you in high esteem, with dignity, respect, Honoring doesn't mean I just go, oh, I bow down before you and, oh, everything's great, blah, blah, blah. What it means is I'm willing to put you on an equal playing field. Remember I said that oftentimes we look at poverty as victims? Here's this thing I can give to you because I'm in a better position. I'm better off, so therefore I'm going to give you, as opposed to seeing you as an equal, and therefore, not necessarily, I'm not talking socialism or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm talking relationship, not the things. And this is where honor comes in, because I can't truly honor you with a gift. Honor comes from a relationship. You feel, oh, I'm honored that you would do that for me. That comes from relationship. That comes from that person feeling like, oh my gosh, this person just sacrificed for me. And what it does is it generates a response from me, the person being honored, to say, oh my gosh, I want to do that for you. Not just, oh, thank you, I got this thing now. Ooh, yay, for me, I can go and, now I have a house, now I have food, No, there's no relationship there. When I am truly, truly now honored, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you, that is incredible. When that happens, you ever have that sense of, oh my gosh, if I would love to be able to do this back for you because I'm just so blown away by this. That's honor. When you feel automatically compelled to reciprocate, that's the position of humility that I'm talking about. When you want to turn around and then humble yourself for others. And that very often is, or generated through, a genuine understanding of the person and the position. What's that, Nappy? When you're at the soup kitchen, someone told me to thank the people for coming. And at first I was like, what? And I started doing it. Yeah, because people then, you're not just giving them food. Again, it's that poverty mindset of, okay, here's your stuff. There you go. Here's your stuff. Because you couldn't do it for yourself, so here's your stuff. Now it's, Jimmy, it is good to see you. Tom, I'm so thankful you're here. But mean it. When you start to understand, again, that value, inherent value of the person, the true meaning, hello, how are you, Vulcan? The true meaning of poverty goes away. That I have less than you, I have more than you, whatever the case is. I'm good, buddy. Thanks for asking. Especially when it's sincere, Nappy. When people honestly see that you genuinely care, and I pray that our students here genuinely see that we care. This isn't just school, right? This is us actually being intentional and wanting the best for our students. Wanting them to genuinely be in a position where they can be made whole, to have that moment of shalom, that moment of peace every day as they sit with us and they journey with us through this segment of their lives. That they genuinely see the opportunity that we have for them. Relationship should be an interruption. It should not be necessarily part of our everyday. There's a guy named Bryant Myers in a book called Walking with the Poor. And again, poor doesn't necessarily mean without, right? Without money, food, whatever the case is. Poor can be relationship. Walking with the Poor, Principles and Practice of Transformational Development. He talks about a bunch of things. It says that in order to arrive at the ultimate causes of poverty, one must go deeper to consider the fundamental nature of reality, the reality of poverty, and what it actually means and where it's rooted. The idea of relationships and the relationship we have outside of our community, in our community, and throughout the world. And it says, in particular, it says, our brokenness has marred all of these relationships. And this is the key. This is now the rock bottom of the conversation that I want to have today. This idea of this is the fruit on the tree I want you to pick. This is the takeaway for today. So pay attention here. This is the important part. Our brokenness has marred all of these relationships. It is marred, it is inhibited, it has gotten in the way of our shalom, our peace. Our brokenness has marred all of these relationships and the social systems that emanate from them. The fundamental causes of poverty, it's the result of relationships that don't work. Broken relationships. The people around me are dysfunctional. There's strife, there's conflict. Poverty is the result of relationships that don't work, that are not just. In other words, not seeking, not punishment, but correction into wholeness. That's the definition of just. That are not for life. Not my life, but all life. And that are not harmonious and enjoyable. And don't mistake enjoyable to mean arcade games. I'm having fun. Enjoyable from the standpoint of peace. Life is joy-filled and enjoyable. In essence, poverty is the absence of shalom in all of its meanings. Picture a world full of war. Full. How miserable would that be? Now put it into a microcosm. Your home. Your spouse. The absence of peace. How miserable are you when you're in that moment? Not Kanye, never will be. Surely. I think the real absence of shalom, the absence of peace, is a place where people aren't listening. Andy. Mr. Littleton. When people get to a place where they are not paying attention to who's sitting next to them and the words that are being spoken or not spoken. So let's get to Nappy's sitting Shiva for a second. One of the hardest things to do, and something I've heard many of my students say to me that they're thankful for, one of the hardest things to do is to just sit and listen. Intentionally, intently to somebody else when they speak. To stop for a second and to say, you know what, I'm just going to give you my full attention. And Andy, I'm telling you right now, man, that's the thing that blows me away about your stream. I cannot believe the amount of things that you remember that people say. That tells me, Andy, that you intentionally and intently listen when we speak to you, when you're streaming, or when you watch our streams. It blows me away when you recite stuff back, when you're on your stream and you say, hey, you know,
Thanks for tuning in.
remember that time you said that thing and you rhyme off whatever that thing is that I said? That to me is huge. Like, and I genuinely mean that. In every day and in every way, that is what we try to do with our students here, is to sit and intently listen. And like I said before, I've had many students say to me in my office, Mr. I'm so thankful. You're the only person in this journey, you know, of discipline with school and whatnot, that has actually asked me, am I okay? What happened? Tell me your side of the story. I'm listening, you know. Yeah, sticky information. That's a great way of putting it, buddy. Yeah, Nappy, it is amazing. I wish I was that good. And, you know, I think the hard part is while you're listening, to not think of your response, but to just genuinely sit there and listen. Because very often we're listening, but we're like, okay, this is what I'm going to say, and this is what I can't wait to rebuttal that. And we miss the point, and that's how we miss nuggets of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just said that. I didn't realize that was happening. I didn't realize that was going on in their life because we're too busy thinking of our response to listen to what's actually being said. And we're all guilty of this in our relationships, especially with our spouses or those who are extremely close to us that we're really comfortable with. Because you get complacent, you get lazy. And I marvel at people, streamers, who go out of their way in their communities, in their streams to maintain a depth of relationship. And there are a number of people who do that really well. But like any good relationship, there will be conflict. There will be times where, you know, there's misunderstandings or, you know, a rebuke or correction happens, you know, even truth spoken. And because we care, it hurts. You know, I think that's part of my role here at Rise Above is sometimes I need to tell students the truth about the reality of the choices they're making or the reality of their educational path or what's going to happen in 5-10 years that they haven't seen yet. And it's hurtful. And sometimes they think I'm being mean. The reality is I'm not. I don't want you to be caught off guard or surprised. And I've been blessed by a lot of you guys, you know, who have come to me and said, hey, Neil, I need your advice on something. I need to talk to you. Can I talk to you about something? And I hope you understand I've never said anything out of spite or anger, or I've only ever tried to come with you with truth. I hesitate to use the word compassion because it seems so trivial these days. But with depth of relationship, with the idea of wanting to be just and have you be made whole. Much the same way we do with the students here, And I had a school come through last week who's been involved with us really from the beginning of the journey that is Rise Above. Thanks, Andy. I didn't know I was your sister. And they toured the building. Hey, sweetie, what's going on? They toured the building. They went through all that stuff, and they were like, wow, I didn't know that's what this was. They thought we were just a school. You're here just giving kids math and science. And it didn't dawn on them until we went through the whole trust, obedience, challenge, change, growth, and the relationship model that we use. And if you have any questions about any of that stuff, trust, obedience, challenge, change, growth, and our 4-step relational model, ask, and I'll happily go through it. Online or offline, whatever you need. And I remember what was supposed to be a half an hour meeting turning into almost an hour and a half, and them leaving the building saying, this is incredible. I didn't realize that's because it makes sense. When you see it in action, you're just like, oh, of course. As he should, sweetie. They are amazing emotes. Please, if you have emotes, use them. I like them. Mine will always be there. But I just think that some people miss what relationship is and how we bring about peace to, I'm going to use a really corny phrase. I almost said peace to our world because, come on now. How do you do that? Point in fact. Shut your mouth, says the guy who talks for a living. Stop and listen. Don't be so quick to talk all the time. Don't think that giving somebody something is going to fix the problem. Get back to what I think it was Tex said earlier. Give somebody a fish. Feed them for a day, teach them to fish. Yeah, it was Tex. TX page. Give somebody a fish, feed them for a day, teach them to fish, feed them for a lifetime. That's great. You taught somebody how to feed themselves. Fantastic. But they're still broken. They still have chaos and war and strife in their lives. And they have no capacity to even consider what to do next. Thanks, K-Dog. Appreciate you, man. I know Dingo gifted that, but even just the thought that you would want to subscribe is pretty amazing to me. So a lot of new faces here today, and one of the things I want you to understand is this is obviously not a gaming stream. We do things a little bit different here. And I know that you guys have kind of got to know me from other places and whatnot. And although I'm very involved in a lot of gaming streams and whatnot, we try and abuse Twitch a little bit here in the sense that we have a video platform to have a conversation about real subjects we're all struggling with. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all people that got our own junk. And I want this community here to be a safe space to come and flex a little bit. That's why we call it the gym. And what's up, Juice? To flex a little bit and to really get to a place where
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
love it, K-Dog. Appreciate you, brother. And get to a place where we can all communally share the blessing of our peace, whatever the peace is that we have. And so the other thing I want you to understand is that all of your bit donations, all of your subscriptions, any cash donations, anything like that, they are not mine. They do not go to me. They come to me, but they are not mine. All of your subscription money, all of your donations and bits go towards the nonprofit that my wife and I founded 5 years ago called Rise Above. That's the logo you see flashing up top. And what we do there is we work with expelled high school students from all over our community, and we give them an opportunity to come in and to be in full relationship with us and to journey with us during the time that they are out of school. And it's a Monday to Friday thing, and it's a lot of it's a labor of love. I don't know how else to say it. We really love working on these kids, working with these kids to get them to a place where they can be successful and to get their high school diplomas and get moving. Because this suspension, expulsion, and just being out of school in general it's a time that kids can really get lost. So we just do our best to help bridge that gap for them and hopefully to give them something that they can rely on. So just thank you. Just know K-Dog and Dingle and everyone that's given today, know that all of your efforts go towards these students. So in particular, when I give the money, we lately have been buying lunch stuff because we provide breakfast and lunch for these kids. And so you guys literally are contributing to that program for them. So thank you very much for doing that. One thing, good morning, Tones. One thing you are going to see soon is an Amazon wish list for Rise Above, where you guys can go online instead of a subscription, which is great. But instead, if you got $5, you want to go, put towards buying some pipe cleaners or buying some scissors or granola bars or anything that's on that list, some socks and underwear for our kids, dish soap, laundry soap, things of that nature. Because we do laundry services now for the kids here. We just built a full laundry room, and soon we'll have a clothes closet, so we'll need things like socks and underwear and T-shirts and things of that nature. I'll be posting all that stuff on Twitter and stuff. Yes, Tones. It'll also come up. See how we have every once in a while a little alert will come up from Stream Elements. It'll also be in there a link that you can click on that'll go right to the Amazon thing as well. And I'd like to thank Morg Meme for giving me that idea. She's awesome. And I want to say this because Morg Meme's not here. And even if she was here, she couldn't hear me anyways because she's at her internship, her placement for school. For those of you that know Morg Meme, and I know most of you do, she is just got her master's degree in speech therapy. She wants to work with kids just like we do here at Rise Above. And she's now in her placement, and she's having a great time. She's loving it. As a matter of fact, when we started the stream today, she was saying she's there and she's all excited and having a great day. When you see Morg Meme, ask her about her placement. Ask her how things are going. Encourage her. She is about to, when she's done getting her master's degree, she's going to be doing amazing work with some amazing kids. And people entering that field just need a ton of support. So if you see Morg, encourage her. Because I know everyone's saying it. We all love Morg Meme. She's a tremendous encourager to so many people. So I pray that we can be a tremendous encouragement to her as well. So that's part of being in a relationship where you do things like that are not substantial. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can't buy things with it. But is extremely valuable to people. And I think that's in essence what the crux of today's stream is all about, is us coming to a place where we understand that in order to have true peace in our own lives, let alone people that we want to affect or be involved in or help see get out of poverty, don't mistake poverty as just I don't have enough food to eat or I don't have a place to live. Poverty of relationship. Because remember, when you don't have peace, your motivation drops. That's why stress is a killer. That's why this whole thing about depression is such a big deal right now. because people are understanding what they're saying about depression, and it hasn't clicked yet in people. Depression is it's sadness. And what am I sad about? It's the lack of peace. There's chaos. I'm depressed. Things aren't clicking. I can't keep a job. My family's falling apart. Whatever it is, depression it's a loss. And getting back to Nappy's, that sitting shiva, being able to sit with somebody quietly and journey with them through this loss to the point where they can feel confident enough to then move forward to do for themselves. You don't have to do for them. That's the mistake of poverty. You think, oh, because I have more, I have excess, I can give. Yes, it's important to give. But what's equally as important is to help somebody get to a place where they can do for themselves. And the only way you can do that is to help get them to a place where they have peace. The depression goes, the stress goes. It's a great way of saying it, Tones. So hard to figure out. And when you can't figure out, how are you ever going to do, in our case, math and science for the students? How are you ever going to go apply for a job? Do the job, let alone once you got it. Pay your bills, do all the things you're supposed to do. If you never have a chance to decompress because nobody's ever sat with you long enough to give you peace, to give you shalom, we're so busy with our own agendas, our own things, we miss it. We're so busy talking about what I don't like. Now, I'm leaving out, in all disclosure, I'm leaving out mental health. There's a whole segment of society that is not going to fit this box nice and neat, and I acknowledge that. There are a segment of people that just through mental health stuff, all the different, you name them, there's not enough time in the stream to cover them all, that they need more than just someone to listen to, right? There's professional help, there's medications and all sorts of other things that are needed there. But I'm just talking about everyday. I'm not even going to use the word normal because that's not right either. What's normal? Love deeply. Thank you, Tones. You literally just bought 3 days of breakfast for our kids. I want you to, it doesn't take much. Thank you very much, Tones. Sweetie, that is a great quote. Do you know where you got that from? I'd love to know. Yeah, there's the Stream Elements thing just clicked up. If anyone wants to see what Rise Above is and kind of what we all look like and whatnot, there's a link in there and you can kind of read about our programs and stuff. But loving deeply is dangerous. I don't know if you understand that because you set yourself up for hurt. There's a reality to loving deeply. There's a reality to hearing somebody else's pain and hurt. Because you can carry that burden too, right? You hear something and you're like, oh my gosh, that stresses me out so much. What's that, Kate? My experience is a lot of times kids just need a place to feel safe and heard. Amen. Literally, that is 99% of the battle. Will an adult listen to me when I talk today? Oh, you heard it in a song, sweetie? Thanks for the host, Tones. Appreciate that. by dispute. Neat. I'll have to look it up, see if I can find that line. Most kids, think about this now. If anybody has kids or grandkids or neighbors' kids or anything that you're in relationship with where you see regularly and they come up and they want to go, oh, look at my artwork. Look at my, Mr. So-and-so, can you look at my artwork? And you go, oh, yeah, kid, that's great. Thanks. And you go, I'm cutting the grass. I'll talk. And the kid's going to, oh, okay. Versus, oh, Mr. So-and-so, look, this is my artwork. And you go, oh, look at that. That's amazing, kiddo. Oh, did you do this yourself? And you know that thing that happens, that interaction that happens? It's pandering a little bit because you're playing up like, oh, this is amazing. I'm gonna put this right on the fridge and all that kind of stuff. It's different with real loving depth of relationship that you have with this, like students here at Rise Above. And they come here because it's a great reference point for me, right? Obviously. When a student comes to you and says, and just has a good day, and you're like, buddy, I'm so glad that you're here. There's nothing pandering about it. It's just the genuine sincerity of, I love that you're here, man. And I'm thinking of a specific kid right now, and I'll try my best not to cry. But there's a reality to that because every day what that kid is going through the moment they leave your building. When they walk in the door and you know that they're safe. It's not about breakfast. It's not about math and science. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate you, kiddo. My counselor just came in and gave me a Kleenex. Thank you, Tones. I appreciate that. The fact that a kid gets to come in and just be a kid. And they have a hard time shutting it off, They have a hard time shutting off what happened yesterday or this morning or last week or that experience I had last year. And we do our best not to, unless it's essential to do so, we do our best to not talk about that thing that happened. There's a decompression point that has to happen there. That we need time to separate ourselves from certain events sometimes. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that. And I bet, in Tones, talking about your girlfriend that works at a high school, I can't imagine. I mean, I have a different opportunity than she has here, right? Our program is intentionally designed with space, and we have the ability to stop everything for a student to say, are you okay? Forget math and science. A math teacher in high school can't do that. I have to get math and science done. So a kid can walk in just shattered every day. What's up, Uncle Jim? Glad you're here. And the teacher really doesn't have the time to deal with it. So in essence, I think that your girlfriend has it really hard at the high school. There's so many restrictions and things that stop them from being successful at truly meeting kids' needs, because you're not meeting a kid's need just by giving them a math credit. Not when their mom is a meth addict. And I'm glad that your girlfriend makes time for those kids to come and talk to her and to be able to open up when they do. Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes you connect with one or two high school teachers, and that's where, I'm thankful for. I do a program here in my community where we do what's called Top Teacher Awards every year. We honor 10 teachers that are nominated by the community at large. I'm on the committee that helps to select those teachers. And what happens is we get applications for 60 to 100 teachers a year, and then we whittle it down to the top 10, and the top 5 are honored at a banquet. We honor out the top 10, but the top 5 are given awards at a banquet. Monetary awards in public award to say thank you for your hard work, and to give them an opportunity to, the top teacher gets enough money that they can take a vacation and restore themselves, because teaching is hard work. But then they get money to empower their classroom, to buy equipment, to make it better, more comfortable, whatever they want to do. So yeah, that's pretty. It's been nice to get involved with that. I think I've been involved with that for 4 or 5 years now. Yeah, what a revolutionary concept. The hardest job on the freaking planet. It's incredible how undervalued teachers in North America. Well, I think the world, I would say happily, without hesitation, how undervalued teachers are, and the literal impact that they have every day on our next generations. It literally is a very draining process, especially if you have kids that really need your help. Because you have 10% that just are going to do. No matter what, they're just going to show up. They're going to do the work. They're going to excel. They're going to be great. You have the rest that need I need you to teach me. I need you to just pat me on the head once in a while and say, hey, things are great, kiddo. Keep it up. You're doing great. Life's going to be amazing for you one day. And then you have that 1 to 10%, depends year to year, that just need every ounce of your being, every ounce of your effort and energy, and then some. And good teachers will then go and list other good teachers to say, hey, Johnny really needs our help this year. He didn't tell me directly, but I heard that this is what's going on, and we need to really make sure that we're giving him or her the additional time and energy. And the sad thing is that the culture is changing. A lot of it's governmental interference as well in the schools that's saying, hey, in order to get your funding, you need to accomplish these certain tasks. And I'm intimately involved, in this state anyways, intimately involved with our school systems. So
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
and I know the struggles. They're pretty blunt with me. Now I'm thankful that our schools here are still willing to partner with Rise Above, and to we have a great relationship with we have 13 school districts in our community that all contribute and partner with us. So it's been amazing to see their willingness. Because when we started Rise Above, everyone said this was impossible. I don't know if you understand. I don't know if I ever said that on stream or not, but we were told early on, don't waste your time. You'll never get the schools to agree. Because, we're a school of choice state, right? So our schools are literally in competition with each other for students. It's a business now. It's no longer just, hey, let's do the right thing for the kids. Now we're actually fighting for kids. It's a numbers game. So, Mr. Soggy Waffles, 1 year, my dude. My favorite dude. You're too nice, man. Soggy, I just want to thank you for everything you've done. Your willingness to partner with me, your willingness to give me advice and to give me feedback on stuff. That's awesome. And I hope it is only the beginning, Soggy. I think as we go forward and things keep going, I think we'll make a difference somewhere. If not in you guys, maybe in me. Maybe one day I'll find some peace. But yeah, I think from the standpoint of the community and what we're doing here, and I think Tones, you kind of said it earlier, in the sense that, you stumbled across it, and you really talked about it. I think the word was how pleased you were that you decided to load the stream this morning. I think the reality there is, and I've said this on stream before, is this is as beneficial for me as I think it is for some of you sometimes. And I say this to my amazing wife, Veronica, sometimes, this idea of the value that this brings to me. Because this is my shalom. This is my place to come and to vent. To be heard. Every once in a while, I give a bit of my testimony, my life. And for those that have been around for a while, like Soggy has, Mr. Poggy Waffles, for those of you who don't know him as Soggy. I've not had the most peace-filled existence in my 45 years. I had a pretty rough childhood, and although things are good now, I have 3 amazing kids and an amazing nonprofit that we work with, my wife and I, an amazing marriage with I must say, a beautiful wife. Whom I believe cares deeply for me. This is my place to come into to find my shalom, to find my peace with you guys. Gives me a perspective, because, people say, well, you got your wife, you got your family. Well, yes, I do. But she's heard it all before, most of it, 99% of it. Once in a while, things will come up and, oh, yeah, this happened when I was 8, But the reality is, here I've got, 10 to 15 new viewpoints that I can bounce things off of and get feedback on. And good point, Juice. That's another stream, though, buddy. And Sweetie, I think it did. I think it did definitely. I'm a man of faith. For those of you that don't know, I'm also an ordained pastor. That's why, that's where the Hebrew came in, and that's where sometimes you'll hear little references to faith and whatnot, for me anyways. And, I look back at my past and to see now how it's being used to make my life relatable. So kids, when I talk to students,
Everything's great.
I very often get feedback that, Mr. Venez, I talk to you because I know you get it. I know you understand. And Nappy, thank you for gifting Sweetie a sub. Welcome to the gym, Sweetie. Glad you're here. Don't skip leg day, please. Although I have to admit, I'm guilty. I skipped leg day last week. As a matter of fact, I skipped the whole stinking week. I took a week off the gym. My shoulder was just hurting. I was not in good shape last week. So, Nappy, thank you for your generosity, buddy. You are a blessing to Risk Immerse, to the channel, and the kids. And Juice. And you know what? I think we've had enough gifted subs today that even though not all together, I think we're worth a dono cam. What do you say? Let's do dono cam, shall we? I owe you guys some push-ups for the generosity and the love that I felt today. So, have you guys ever? Most of you guys, I bet you haven't even seen dono cam. I know Nappy and Soggy and Dingle have. Oh my gosh. Nappy, stop it. Well, that sound is going to now play for the next 15 minutes. Okay, dono cam. Here we go. Soggy, gosh, man. Okay, so that's 50. You guys are killing me. Nappy's popping off. Okay, so I'm going to go to dono cam. I owe you guys 50 push-ups. I'm going to do 50 right now. And then at the end of the stream, I'm going to do another 25. So for those of you that don't know, we have a thing called Dono Cam, and when a certain threshold of gifted subs or bits or cash donations and stuff like that are given, because we had a $25 dono earlier, so I've got to do 20 push-ups for that. Yeah, here we go. Dono Cam. The flex you redeemed? You gotta redeem a flex every once in a while. So I owe you guys another 50 push-ups at the end of the stream. And just for the record, another thing. I don't know whether this is Seaweed, you're here, buddy. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. But I'm gonna turn down the everything's great, everything's awesome. I love OG Pickle, but
Everything's great. Everything
it's awesome. But pardon me. I think it's important I give the other 50 at the end of the stream for everybody that donated. Nappy, stop. I appreciate you, buddy. Just need to be careful. So again, all the donations, gifted subs, all that stuff goes directly to the kids. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna catch my breath. Who else was here? Who joined while I was doing push-ups? Faucet's here. Juice still here. Seaweed. You like that transition screen, Seaweed? Thanks, buddy. I think it's, I gotta be careful. I think is it still loud to you guys? I tried to tone down the volume of it one time. I think we're good now. So I just want to make sure we're not. Oh, perfect, Juice. Thanks, buddy. But I one of the things I want to convey to you guys, if you didn't get it from my emotion, is the importance of this type of relationship and how literally transformational it is to students. Thanks, Sagi. How immediately impactful. So to put it into perspective, to help you understand how change happens instantly when you do this well. Many times students come to us with the school saying, all right, Jay, take it easy, buddy. Get back to work. Students come to us with schools saying, we just can't, this kid doesn't stop, he just talks and gets out of hand and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, right? Almost none of our kids come to us. Like if I could carry a mic around Rise Above right now, outside of, when transitioning classes or going to life skills or something like that, it is literally pin drop quiet in here. Because everyone's resting. Everyone's taking a break from life. And people are like, I'll bring visitors in. They go, oh, it's too bad. I was really hoping to see some students today because they think no one's here because it's so quiet. And it's like, what are you talking about? The building's full. And they're like, what? Really? And so we do a tour of the classrooms and they're just like, they're blown away. There's no cursing, no swearing, no one's fighting. And guys, again, these are all the bad kids. This is what everyone labels as. These kids got all these. They're not. They're normal kids. No one's in depth of relationship with them. And sweetie, you're 100% right. 99% of the kids, they come here, this is the only peaceful place they have. This is the only moment of rest they get. In 99 times out of 100, if a student falls asleep in class, we leave them alone. I don't wake them up, rarely. I do sometimes. But the reality is, I know that sleep they're getting now is probably because they didn't get any last night. Because mom and dad were fighting, or dad was up drinking again, or, God knows whatever else is going on. There's no parental controls in the house, so the student is allowed to stay up till all hours of the night, running the streets and stay where they want. And right now, Seaweed, we're middle school through high school. So what's that, 6th grade through 12th? What's up, Silo? Thanks for tuning in, buddy. So, you have this great big range, and honestly, it's a big range of students. Yeah, 12 through 18, 19, yeah. I think the oldest we've had is 19. And I do believe we've had an 11-year-old before. But again, we make exceptions. If the 11-year-old's a really mature 11-year-old, what's up, Hell's Nemesis? Oh, all the phenomenal people are showing up to meet all the phenomenal people that are already here. That's awesome. So really what we look for is not necessarily age, but maturity level and the willingness to engage. Do you want to be here? That's what it comes down to. And do you have the mental maturity to understand what I'm going to ask you to do? So Seaweed, let's talk about that for a second. So Rise Above has 4 relational elements, and I want you to, Seaweed, hold on to that phrase for a second. 4 relational elements. So I'll go through them with you, and I'll tell you why I keyed in on that. Seaweed. Yeah, come on in, brother. Nick, my area manager, is going to jump in with us here for a second. Let me just check your headphones and stuff. Turn your mic on. We'll do a test whenever you're ready. So 4 relational elements. 8 relationships come first, right? So let me put Nick on screen here while we in studio. We'll do a mic check for you in a sec. Go ahead, say something real quick.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Mic's good. Perfect. So relationships come first. Everyone's saying hi. Oh crap! Yeah, the little.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it. There's one that's. Let me see. Nope. This right here. Ooh, I don't want to record. I'm recording.
There
We're doing
we
a
go.
podcast now, everybody. There we go. Everyone's saying hi, by the way.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
So relationships come first, which means I'm willing to sacrifice everything else. Exactly what we've been talking about this whole stream, right? Second thing is I'm willing to share my relationships. So Nick is a great guy, and I know he's a good influence on people. So what I want to do is I want to introduce the students to him as much as possible. I want to give them opportunities to meet all these other great relationships that I have. The third is, and this gets to what's his name? Seaweed's comment earlier, is that we believe all of every relationship should be different. In other words, I'm not going to treat Susie the same way I treat Nick, right? I know Nick's personality, his love language, all that stuff. So I'm going to be, even when it comes to discipline, two students can do the exact same thing, but might result in two completely different disciplines or forms of correction. Discipline's a harsh word. It's like obedience, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a scary word. And then the other is that we believe our relationship should endure. And I always use the reference of my daughter who got married, right? So just because she got married and moved into my house doesn't mean I stopped talking to her. Much like our students when they graduate from Rise Above or leave the program or whatever the case is, we want to continue that relationship. So, so when you say, Seaweed, that everyone is an individual and should be evaluated that way, we believe that and agree with that 1,000%. It's just the way it should be. Sweetie says no hat.
No hat. I know. I knew that would be noticeable. I almost threw one on. I look kind of bald on the stream, I just noticed, but that's okay.
He's not.
There's some up there.
There's a little bit. Most of mine is right above my bum at the back.
Thanks.
Mental pictures, everybody.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day. What's that, Hell's Nemesis? You were reading what you saw on our... Oh, thanks, buddy. So Hell's Nemesis was just saying he was looking at our webpage and loves what we do. Thanks. Appreciate it. He also says, hi, Nick. Hope all is well.
Hello.
Looks way different without the hat.
I know. We did a kind of company dinner last week, and one of our Will, you guys know Will, his wife looked to Will 10 minutes into the dinner and was like, "Where's Nick?" 'Cause I not only had no hat on, but I was rocking glasses that night too.
I remember her saying something, and she was looking
Yeah.
at you, and they were laughing.
Yeah.
So that must have been what the conversation was when
Yeah.
I caught over.
I like to keep people on their toes.
That's too funny. And as an inspiration, I wore the Nick hat.
Oh yeah.
The other day, went to an event at the church, and I wore it, and everyone was like, "Who's that guy?
That
Who's
was
Veronica
awesome.
walking around with?
That's all
Who's
trendsetting.
that handsome man?"
We're trendsetting.
Yeah, we are trendsetters, quite literally. You saw the OG Pickle shirt behind Nick? Yes, you did. And there's Taco, there's Air Maxes back there. For those that also don't know, if you see the Savage shirt up there, so that's the Maverick brand that the OG Pickle started with before he was the merch guy. Well, that is merch for a famous YouTuber who shall remain unnamed. That's one of his original, and one of my kids actually had it from 10 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat how kind of the OG Mitch and I have kind of come full circle. It's been kind of fun to kind of get to know him. Sweetie, you said, as you should, the world is tough out there, and you guys have made an impact, and that shouldn't stop you when you're progressing forward in life. Agreed. Thank you. I'm just catching up on chat here, so just give me 2 seconds here, guys. Did you catch any of the earlier stream?
Very little. I was in and out.
Gotcha. I don't pay you to watch a stream anyways.
That's right. That's why I have it on over here.
Is it pulling up on there?
No,
on the
not at
computer?
all.
No, because the Wi-Fi wasn't where I was using my phone to try and keep chat going for you.
Yeah.
So the conversation today is around peace or shalom, and the conversation predominantly is about the idea of poverty and what we label poverty as. And typically people label poverty as the absence of something, right?
Yep.
Not enough money, not enough food,
Yep.
lack of housing. We think of a pyramid thing,
Yeah.
the hierarchy.
Yeah.
And I think that as we Are your headphones loud enough, by the way?
I got you. Okay, yeah.
Okay. And I think that for the stream today, what we're talking about is this idea of peace and the notion that our lack truly is a lack of relationship.
Yeah, well, I mean, shalom even goes beyond peace. It's like a wholeness, right? Like it's like a completeness, and
Come a
that
little closer,
that
don't mind.
comes in on the poverty conversation too. Is they're lacking something, right? They're not complete,
Yeah.
in certain ways.
Yeah, and so then I push that one step further to say, yeah, and you can definitely pull that closer if you want. And the other thing I kind of tuned in on a little bit was this idea of we often look at people in poverty as victims. And when you have that victim mentality, it's one of you have a hero complex where I have everything and I'm going to swoop in and I'm going to save the day.
Correct.
As opposed to this idea that we are in a position of restoration through relationship. That I don't just have something to give you, but you have something to give me as
Correct.
well.
It's reciprocal.
And so I guess what I'm curious about, in particular for chat today, because I think that people are really starting to kind of understand the work that we do, is how do you see that relationship, that reciprocal relationship, play out here? Do you think you see it? Is that an accurate portrayal of kind of what we're talking about?
I think it is. Yeah. I mean, we talk all the time that we can't be the be all and end all for these kids, or their families. Will and I were actually having a good conversation this morning about, like sometimes we feel like we need to help the parents as much as the kids, and it's just don't always have the capacity to do that, right? But we can't be superheroes for them. We want to give them the opportunity to get out themselves with our help, with our lend that hand. Like we're going to reach that hand out. We're going to help pull on it and know that we're going to get something back from that too. I think we all feel very rewarded in the work we do, right? And yeah, so it does. It works both ways, and we have to receive as much as we give in a way, because otherwise we don't know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we talked a little bit about this idea of the relationship being a listening contract. This idea that we're the bulk of our job is just being quiet and hearing a student talk to us.
And I mean, I remember you telling me that from day one. I remember saying to you that I don't know that I'll always know what to say to them, and you say back to me, like it's about listening, and we see that play out every day.
Yeah.
I sat on that couch, across from that couch next door with kid last week for just 45 minutes of him talking, and it was great,
And just to clarify that, our counselor's office is right next door.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we use it as staff if our counselor's not in-house
Correct.
to sit and talk to students.
Yeah, and I could tell in that moment he just wanted to share, and I would clarify and I would add bits and pieces, but it was more just giving him the opportunity to speak, and make sure that he, I can't imagine that always outside of this building he has that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is, in Sweetie, you're touching on a little bit here, is by listening, we're helping students process. Sometimes you just need to say something out loud, I just need to get it out.
Yeah.
And whether it's a big idea or this thing that I'm wrestling with,
Yep.
in the context of our students and whatnot, I think it is important that we don't assume to know the answers to all their problems.
And we do it all the time in our own interpersonal relationships, right? With our spouses or kids or whatever, where you just go to them and you say, I don't know how to say this, or I just want to say this out loud and see what it sounds like,
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we don't realize we're doing that, My wife's a teacher, so I get it a lot from her saying, how does this sound? What is a kid going to respond to, But I think we do it a lot not realizing it.
Yeah. And Sweetie, to go along with what you're saying there at the end, so a lot of don't get that kind of relationship at home. So sometimes we do get students, and I'm thinking of one particular student who we just went back to the middle school recently, where we had a mother who was trying to interact with her daughter, thinking, I will buy her all of this stuff, thinking it's going to show her I love her.
Correct.
Right? What was the reality of that?
That was not her love language. Gifts were not her love language,
So-
and gifts were pretty low.
So does everyone understand what love languages are? We don't have to go through it all,
Yeah,
but just in a
yeah.
nutshell, what are love languages?
Love languages are, everybody has a way that they receive love and then that they give love back in return, and we all receive love differently. So there's gifts, there's acts of service, there is
Touch, words of affirmation.
words of affirmation, and quality time.
Yeah.
And so, like, mine is quality time. So, like, if my wife just tells me all the time that she loves me and leaves me a gift, like, I'm not necessarily going to receive love as if she just hangs out with me and watches a basketball game, you know? And so for this young lady, like, gifts was pretty low on her assessment, and mom was constantly, like, she was a sneakerhead for sure, but mom was constantly buying her shoes, trying to, like, say, hey, I'm showing you I love you, but not spending any time. And so
the
she
kid wasn't receiving her
that
love.
love. Yeah. And we talked to mom about it, you know, and that.
And her love language was what?
Her love language was quality time.
Quality time.
Yeah.
She just wanted to be with her mom.
Correct.
And her mom was saying, here's your shoes, get lost.
Because I don't even think they were going out and shopping together. You know, like that was the whole thing. Mom would just show up with them and surprise them, and you know. Yeah.
So if you guys haven't yet, look into this. Just type in Google, do the Googles.
Yeah.
Right? What is my love language, or love language test and that kind of stuff. I'm telling you, understanding your love language and your spouse's or your dad or your mom or whoever, think of somebody that you're in, particularly someone that you're in conflict with.
Yeah.
And learn their love language. And remember, they don't want your love language. You have to give them, even if your love language is, say, touch, which mine is touch. I love when my wife just, as she walks by, just rubs my back, right? Or touches me or whatever it might be. If my love language is touch, doesn't mean my wife's love language is touch. Hers might be quality time. And so I have to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And so I know mine's touch, but she just wants to spend time with me, which is, you know, whatever the case may be, or wants me to go buy her some again, not getting into my wife's love language. But the idea there is I've got to then do for her what I expect her to do for me, which is to respond to me in my love language. So.
And it's not always easy, you know, to give in their way, you know. My wife's is acts of service. That's hard, you know what I mean? Like
it could be out of your comfort zone.
It could be out of your comfort zone, yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's something, so we do two things. We do a little personality assessment with the kids, and we figure out their love language. And so what we do then is we're able to respond to the kids in a more particular way that suits them. And again, that's that idea that we are going to treat our relationships as an individual, right? So we're going to give kids specifically what they need and not just this blanket statement. And I use the analogy all the time of, okay, we're going to buy everybody bikes.
Yeah.
And so I just go out and I buy all these big, huge 12-speed mountain bikes for all these kids. Well, I've got some 11-year-olds that are only 4 foot nothing. Yeah. And buying them a huge mountain bike is a waste of money because they can't use it. So I'm not. Yeah, everyone got a bike. What's the problem? You know, but it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Just like our relationships. And exactly, sweetie. Not everybody wants a bike.
There's that too,
right? Or needs a bike, as you say as well. So I mean, there's the reality of that. So, I mean, for me, with our students, the big part of having students here for me, and what I get out of it, is I get to live out my childhood. I did not have a great childhood, and Nick, and no surprise for Nick there. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit before, and I've talked about it on stream a little bit too. And for me, I get to play sometimes. You know, I get to joke around and have fun and talk about, video games and all this community that we're a part of here and whatnot with a lot of the students. And I mean, there's a very serious side of me. I'm not going to lie, but when I need to have that breathing moment, I can. Because a lot of my problem, we talked about this. I talked about earlier the idea of depression and stress and whatnot, and the reality of my job very often is sometimes I feel the weight of the organization entirely, even though I have a phenomenal group of folks here that support me. There's elements of this that I feel as though I stand alone on sometimes, and I'm trying to wrestle with that every day, and so. My escape is A, the students, and B, things like coming on here and doing the stream. So we talk about being in relationship. This is part of being in relationship for me.
Yeah, and I think the reciprocal aspect for me, I look at, we just got, through our 2-week Christmas break or whatever, and I don't come from a world where you get that all the time, in my past. And I miss that interaction with the kids. Like, that's what feeds into me, right? Is just like you. It's your opportunity to play and be a kid. For me, it's my opportunity to breathe life back into me, you know? And I definitely went through a rough patch at the end of break in terms of not having that,
went through withdrawals a little
bit. Exactly, yeah, And sure, it was great. My family was there, and, that was awesome. But, I mean, you want that what's going on with this kid, or I wonder how his break is going, and not being able to feel that, you know. Or
Yeah, and Soggy and Sweetie, I would say that, you know, you made the statement that I think the kids need you as much as you need them. I think one of the things that we do as a staff is we make assumptions about what the students need.
yeah,
And very often we're wrong when it comes to, hey, I think the students, it's a general term I'm using, I'm not talking about the individual.
yeah,
I think the students need X, Y, Z.
yeah,
And I think it has and it can get us in trouble sometimes with, particularly with distracting us from the real work that we're trying to do. We think it's about playing and having fun and doing all this kind of stuff sometimes when in fact the work that we're doing is really kind of serious and not always about laughing. And that's why earlier when I talked about this idea of joy, I was quick to make everyone or help everyone understand. I'm not talking about ha 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 ha. I'm talking about the joy-filled peace, like the actual joy in the sense that things are just good.
yeah,
And I think we miss that sometimes with our students. In when we offer whatever it is that we offer, what we're really trying to achieve is that joy-filled peace.
yeah. That's a good way to put it. Just that.
Yeah,
Like,
because we say that in the interview, right?
Yeah.
This is your chance just come and relax.
Yeah.
All I want you to do is just show up every day.
yeah,
So that I can be here for you. You know, type of a statement. And one thing I wish I could offer all of you is this ability to sit in on our interviews, to be a fly on the wall, to sit and watch a student as they hear that speech we give during the interview of, look, buddy, I expect nothing from you.
correct.
But to just come and relax.
Show up.
And you see them literally slump in their chair as they start to relax. As they start, all the tension goes away. It's like, oh my, I don't have to perform.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that song and dance that everybody expects me to do and to give the mantra.
Well, they expect to do that coming into the interview sometimes too, depending on the kid. You can see that they're like they've been
The
prepped,
show's about
or
to
like
start,
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's not what. Just be you. You know, like we're gonna give you space to.
Yeah,
You know,
to exhale for a
Yeah.
minute. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to look over your shoulder and do all that stuff. And I mean, for the vast majority of our students, there's no conflict interrelationally, even within the students. Now, there are some that are coming with baggage because they're not willing to release certain relational strife that they have outside of school, which then they think it transfers inside of school.
100%.
But when they do let that go, which has happened a couple of times, suddenly, oh my gosh, everything's great. I do see Johnny as a possible friend and things work well. But how's Nemesis? What are you saying? You give the kid the empowerment that they need and provide them with a safe space, safe place, environment that they need where if they decide to open up and speak that they can without being judged. Yeah. Kaylee Dingle, appreciate you being here, buddy, and for the gifted subs today. You guys have all been amazing with the gifted subs. It's been incredible. And Hells, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say that they wish they had this kind of thing when they were around when they were a child. It's yeah.
We hear it a lot here too. You know, from people that come in the building, or you know.
Some of our biggest donors have said, "Oh man, if I wish you were here in the 70s and 80s when my kids were coming through high school and all the struggles and things that they were having. You know, it just would be a huge benefit to them." But yeah, I think that peace for us, in particular the students, is not necessarily a skill that they learn. It's not a trade. It's not a It's literally that opportunity to breathe, the opportunity just to almost switch off.
Yeah. And to build capacity to do that beyond here, you know, because, I mean, we have students now, we've had students in the past that have the ability to do it here, but it doesn't extend after hours, you know, and how can we help them build that stamina, that capacity, because it's not a skill. Again, you can't just go to it when you're not here, but to allow it to come to you.
And so here, I'm going to throw something else here. As you were talking, you said capacity, but the word compassion came to my mind as well.
Yeah.
And I don't mean compassion from the standpoint of us towards the student. I'm talking about the student towards others.
Correct. Yeah.
So one thing that I believe students don't have the ability to do when they're in that moment of being at capacity is to have compassion for others and understanding of, why my mom does what she does.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian, y'all. Does what she does, or why I'm angry at my dad still, or all that kind of stuff. So once I have enough capacity, I can then begin to understand the plight of others and offer some form of relief even to them.
You have space to allow them to turn it around and to see what they're seeing, so.
Sweetie, a lot of them are having to be adults, in the home. Yep. And that's the one thing I think we mentioned it earlier in the stream, but this idea that, who was I talking to? It was our new employee was talking about, Davina was talking about 13-year-olds are having to make decisions and to decide for themselves things that they should never be deciding for themselves.
Like where to go home at night.
Yeah. Like am I going to sleep at mom's house, dad's house, or so-and-so's house?
Yeah.
Or where am I going to find food to eat today? Or, should I or shouldn't I do homework?
Should I or shouldn't I go to school?
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Any number of things. But sweetie, in your next comment there, it says, but by also doing an amazing amount of work on themselves, participating in the program. So let's think about something else. So you're asking a 13-year-old, in some cases, I'm going to use the extreme a little bit, to survive on their own, essentially, to make all of the adult decisions that are typically made for a 13-year-old. I think of my own 14-year-old now. In the decisions that I make for him that a lot of our students make on their own. Even my 20-year-old, I still say, dude, you shouldn't be making that decision on your own.
Yeah.
You need to come, and you and I had this discussion.
Yeah.
You should be coming to me to have this conversation before you make that decision or sign that paper.
Yeah.
And these kids are doing it completely 100% on their own at 13. And we wonder why they're like, if you struggle to make the decision at 25, 30, 45, 50, what the heck is a 13-year-old thinking?
Yeah.
Mom. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't. So Sweetie says, taking on the responsibility of siblings and where meals are coming from. We literally have several students, more than one student right now, that are doing that very thing.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm tired, Mr. Fernandez. I was up till 3 a.m. taking care of my younger brother. He kept getting up last night. Why are you getting up at 3 in the morning to take care of your little brother? Where's your dad? Where's your mom?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Is what my mind. I don't say that to the student.
Yeah.
But that's what my mind is saying. Is why in the world are you doing that?
Why are you late? I had to drop my siblings off at school or make sure my siblings got on the bus.
Got on the bus.
Yeah.
They're literally doing adult. What are you doing today? Oh, adult.
I'm adulting.
I'm adulting.
How old are you? 12?
Yeah.
13?
Yeah.
15?
I have a young lady that quit Rise Above last week because she got her car working.
I didn't know where you're going with this, but yeah. Yeah.
And she has to drive her mom to work and take her sister to school.
Yep.
So she sacrifices her success at 15
Yep.
and pregnant
16, but yeah. And pregnant. Yep.
to take care of her mom and sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfair.
Yeah.
That is the age when you're supposed to be selfish and take care of yourself and think of yourself entirely.
And you can say that to her. You did say that to
I
her.
absolutely said
But
that to her.
At 16, can you take that? You know what I mean? Can she realistically say, yeah, I'm going to be selfish, while she's with child and, that's tough.
Yeah, and now and then she's going to be an adult one day and no high school diploma potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And have to take, and we're going to expect her to take care of that child and think to ourselves in all of our infinite wisdom when we see her on the street, and say, well, I can't believe she doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
How dare she? You know, and she wants me to pay my taxes. Blah, blah, blah. You don't even begin to understand what put her in that position.
Yeah.
You know, and the adult that was in the room that said, "Oh, I need you to drive me to work,"
Correct.
instead of getting your high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
You want to shake the adult,
Yeah.
putting it mildly.
And that's where society in a whole, like what you said, like, I can't believe she doesn't have a job. I can't believe, like, we don't know those stories, you know, because that one's not her. You know, yes, did she make some decisions that led to
Yeah,
her
of
being
course.
pregnant? Did she, you know, yes. But, like, in terms of her diploma specifically, that was taken out of her hands.
So when a minor, somebody who is not mature, makes a wrong decision, that's where adulting, the adults in the room come in and say, okay, you've made the mistake. This is now what we're going to do to correct as much as we can to put you on a path to success. Not add to the negative decisions you've made by making more negative. The adult is supposed to be the mature one in the room. Instead, they've even done worse than the child, because the child's doing the right thing and saying, okay, yes, I will take care of you.
Yeah.
Which is their parents was saying, okay, I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Because the reality there is, anyways, breathe. K-Dog, I've seen that personally, and it takes a toll on a child. Absolutely, it takes a toll on a child. Because again, you're putting adult stresses on a student that can't. So you fully understand. You see the 5,000 foot, the 2,000 foot, the 1,000 foot, in the 10,000 foot view, and you understand because you have the capacity and the maturity to understand all the nuances of the decisions you're making. For the most part, a rational, mentally stable person, right?
Yeah.
When you take a young person and you put those same decisions on them, they don't have all the life experiences that you as an adult have had. And so it's even more infinitely confusing to them. And you think it's stressful. Wait till you don't understand all the nuances that an adult understands and then make the same decision.
Yeah.
That's why young people are able to do crazy things on BMX bikes and on dirt bikes, because they don't understand the real dangers.
Yeah. There's no awareness.
There's no awareness yet. You haven't experienced that fall where you break your neck yet to understand that is not safe, right? They are forced to grow up fast. She might be making decisions that she shouldn't be making, and she's forced to in a situation where she already lives life an adult because she's forced to. Yeah. Anyways. So the challenge that we face every day is, how do we get these kids to revert back to being kids where they don't make these decisions anymore?
Yeah.
And then send them home at the end of the day where we're fighting with parents and they're back in a situation where they're going to be made to make these same decisions and stuff again. So there was a statement in here somewhere I wanted to come back to, and I can't remember what it was now. What's going on in the life of Rise Above right now while I'm thinking? Anything?
We have a lot of activity in terms of new students. We got a lot of interviews this week. We hired our new employee, like you talked about. We're very excited about what she can bring.
What do we think are her highlights?
You mean in terms of what she can
What
bring?
she's going to bring to Rise Above?
Yeah, so a couple things. Our after-school program, she's going to kind of coordinate that and get that really solid, where it's kind of hasn't been always planned out well in the past.
It's going to get sole ownership.
It's going to get sole ownership, where it's somebody's responsibility to take that on, and we're excited that it's her. Also, just to build relationships in both our classrooms, you know, so that it's another person the kids can trust and the kids can reach out to, and the goal with that is that she can extend those relationships beyond this building. So we also have sole ownership, one person kind of doing the follow-up care afterwards.
And she has a depth of relationship.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
She's already started to demonstrate some of that depth of relationship that we.
Yeah, and it's exciting for our organization to have that role, you know what I mean, and to just take some of that off, you know, to allow everybody to kind of more focus in on their own roles.
Yeah,
you know?
and I'm hoping, I haven't asked her yet, but I'm hoping that she'll come on stream.
Oh,
She
I think she will.
She's got a personality. I think
Yeah.
that she'll eat it up and want to come in and be a part of it. So
Yeah.
But and the one who brought me the Kleenex earlier, Kate, is she She's also. I was hoping to get her on stream today because I thought
Yeah,
she'd
it just
be a
didn't
great.
happen.
Yeah, she's working with some of the students today. So did you hear did you see Kate's email about what she might be bringing in for
Yes,
us?
that was very exciting. A therapy dog.
Therapy dog. Has anyone had any experience with any therapy type animals or anything like that? Has any experiences you want to share with that, whether it's beneficial, bad, any challenges you might have faced, any good things that came about or anything like that? I know we at Rise Above have talked about bringing an animal in for some time. We've actually
Hopefully this makes the cat thing go away if we have the dog thing
because
occasionally.
we thought about a dog before. Do we get a Rise Above dog?
Yeah.
Right? Because we think animals would be a great thing for the program.
Yeah.
I have 2 goldfish tanks, but they're just from my pond. So
Yeah.
But the reality is we thought a pet would be good. So we thought, okay, we'll get a dog, but then it's like, hey, someone's got to walk the dog. Dogs are high demand animals, whereas a cat's a little more independent. It can come and go as it needs to. You don't got to walk it or let it out. But then it came down to, okay, but we have 13 weeks a year where we're not in the building.
In the building.
So somebody needs to take the cat home during that 13 weeks. And then that was a bit of a conundrum. And then what if you got a pet dander allergy? Do you get one of those hairless cats or, you know? But then, so this past weekend, Kate actually emailed and said, hey, I got a therapy dog, a certified therapy dog.
Certified and good to go, not just bring a pet in.
And I promise my dog won't bite your kid's face off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could be interesting. We talked today a little bit about starting it maybe with the life skills in a group setting, just to get everybody introduced. And
we don't know yet. Did she say what kind of dog?
Oh, I feel like I should know because she's told me before, but I don't remember.
I haven't had any conversations with her about it yet. So no, Saga, we don't know what kind of dog yet. But maybe when she does start bringing it in, if I can ever get her on stream, we'll get her to bring the dog in, and we'll put Dono Cam up and show her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I mean, Kate.
Yeah. The dog's probably going to be great
it's
too.
It's partially why we struggle to get her on today. The kids want to meet with her. The kids want to engage with her.
They genuinely want to talk to her.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and it's not just about even teaching kids about responsibility. Dogs offer one thing. And this is why we all love dogs.
Comfort.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
Sweetie said it. Yeah, love.
Yeah.
Dogs, unconditional. I love you to death. Just pet me. Just that excited when you come home, the whole body shakes as they're wagging their tail, Yeah. It's unconditional love. That one thing that we all desire in our lives, unconditional love, dogs offer it. And at the end of the day, it's that unconditional love that we want to give to the students. In the brokenness of our humanity sometimes gets in the way of us providing that.
Yeah.
And so this is just one more layer of unconditional love that we can give that is truly unspoken. Truly unspoken. And the concept of peace and that sitting Shiva and that ability to just sit quietly with somebody and just be in love with them.
Sitting Shiva. That's good.
You ever heard that phrase before?
I have. My dad's family was Jewish, so.
Oh, yeah. It's a Yiddish term.
Yeah.
So that ability to just sit with somebody that is in mourning or experiencing loss. And in our case, all of our students are in mourning and experiencing loss of relationship.
That is a fantastic analogy.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about that today. The whole idea of peace and shalom was the concept of the stream today. It's just one of those things for me where I think that's what the dog will inject, is that ability to just sit quietly, even if the dog is just lying on the floor in the room. The students know they're there, and it's just something that brings a smile to your face. Yeah. When even as I'm saying it, I can see it happening, and I'm genuinely excited that she made that offer.
Yeah.
So I just wish she was here full time.
Me too. If you're watching, she was watching earlier.
Full time.
We love you, Kate.
Absolutely. I think in the concept of the work that we do and everything else, the whole essence of our being is to bring about peace, shalom to our students. And so as you guys go about your week and as we look towards ending the stream here now, I just pray for peace for all of you guys in your work, in your homes, and with the people that you work, that you live, work, and play with every day, that you seek a depth of relationship that absolutely surpasses all understanding, that you would have an absolute peace, so that you can find joy in your everyday, and not just once in a while.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we all miss and are lacking, is that true depth of joy. And I can tell you where mine comes from, but that's another stream.
Yeah. Shalom is so nice because you have to exhale to say it too. It's
Yeah.
like shalom.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Thanks, Nick,
Yeah, thanks.
for joining us.
I jumped in at the end, but
for the latter half of the stream. I know that's been kind of a crazy day. For those of you that are of the praying mindset, we have a couple of big grants on the table this coming month. And I had a pretty interesting conversation with a prospective donor on Saturday that provides us with a phenomenal opportunity that could make Rise Above a annually fully funded nonprofit in 2020. So just be keeping us in your thoughts and in prayers as this year goes on, and indeed as January happens. We have some big things that are happening, and so I have to end this stream with 50 more push-ups, Nick.
oh wow.
Yeah, there was 100 push-ups worth of donations and gifts given on this stream
That
today.
is awesome.
So I'll go to DonoCam, I'll finish it out, and then when I come back, I'll give everyone a big virtual high five and a hug and say have a good day. So here, DonoCam, 50 more push-ups. Y'all got to count with me.
Okay, see you later, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Yes, Soggy, I can. And as we transition here now, pardon me, I want to send you guys over to Air Max, as I do normally. So if you guys can hang tight, just give Air Max some love when I send you guys over, please. I want him to know every time I send him over that he's a man of quality and integrity, and I appreciate him as a streamer. If you watch his stream, he actually does everything to make you better as he gets better. So just hang tight, guys. Give him some risk immersed hearts. Let him know that you're thankful for his stream. Hope you all have a great day. I appreciate each and every one of you. To everyone that gifted subs today and donated, thank you. And everyone that received, send some love to those who received it. Have a great day, everybody.